are back with episode 37. How many is that?
37?
37 of the Metal Roundtable.
Yes, 37.
I am Metal Rob, and with me as always is the great
Carcass John.
Yes. So
with our wildly active studio audience here.
let me hear that studio audience again. Oh man, we haven't even said anything yet.
Well, you started to speak and they're booing.
So the Carcass has a new toy, as you can see, thanks to Monkey Butt. And
well, you get a laptop, I get a toy.
It's commonly known as an iPad.
An
John.
iPad, okay. I'm a little antiquated. Remember, I am old.
You're doing great.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm disappointed in the Carcass, kids, and I'm going to tell you why. Why do you think I'm disappointed in the Carcass? Let's just hazard a guess real quick. The Carcass has gotten soft on us this week, and he is not wearing an unreadable logo. He's wearing a very classic.
Although Monkey Butt was not able to read the KISS logo right away. So,
hey,
it's sort of...
He's dumping you in the grease over here, Monkey Butt. Are you hearing this?
Our production guy, who's very well skilled at what he does.
Yes.
Not very skilled at reading KISS logos, but I digress.
Okay, if I need to leave, so you guys can sort this out.
It's sort of an ode to what we were talking about last episode with the whole idea of farewell tours or whatever. Come on, I'm trying to connect the dots here.
You're doing great, buddy.
You know.
You're doing great. You're a broadcast
I'm wearing
professional.
short sleeves because there's not a lot of people that know I have a tattoo or two or 20.
That's true. You have a couple.
Yeah.
Now tell us about your KISS shirt. This is not some hot.
Oh no, this is a regular
crap.
vintage KISS T-shirt, and thank goodness for health and fitness. Shout out to my daughter Mara and Ingrid, and to her one of her compadres, Reagan Grimes, a world championship bodybuilder, and Wendy Hammer, her compatriot, with her health and fitness blogcast. They're trying to get me back into some semblance of shape.
Get you down to fighting weight.
And get me down to my fighting weight, and then maybe I'll fight somebody.
I still wouldn't fight you.
No. I wouldn't fight you because I like you.
Well, I appreciate that.
I have a hard time fighting people.
If I'm going to be in a fight, I want you on my side.
Okay,
Is that cool?
I'll try to be on your side of the alley.
Thank you so much. All right, well, let's do a quick couple of after show shout outs. How was Forebode?
Forebode was absolutely crushing. You know, going on first, the first band got canceled, and we won't even get into that. But Forebode went on. They were absolutely punishing as usual. They had the huge stage. Of course, they get a sound check. And everything about the Gas Monkey Bar and Grill is just awesome.
Cool.
And by the way, speaking of that, I can't wait to see Overkill and Exhorder.
Dude.
March 7th.
Are you kidding me?
It's going to be... that's a neck wrecker from the word go.
That is going to be greatness.
But that beautiful stage and setup, and those dudes are so professional there, and they make all the bands feel very well accommodated, etc. And they were awesome. They put on a great set. All the other bands were great. I ended up leaving early, but I wasn't going to miss them. And they had a little longer set than I thought they would. Usually it's 20 minutes. I think they stretched it to 25 to almost 30, but it was awesome.
Cool.
Awesome. And they, and I have something for you. They have these interesting little picks. You need to look in your record.
Oh,
okay. I found Rob a very interesting keepsake record that he, I thought I was just kidding because, you know, I'm not a hair metal guy, and I saw this extremely hair metal Christian metal thing, and I said, any of you guys want this? And I was joking around, but guess what? Rob said, dude, I need that. So
well, now hold on. In all fairness, Chief, I did some mastering work for those guys.
All right.
For a label out in California.
All right.
And so you sent me this picture making fun of it, which was funny. And then I'm like, oh, dude, yes. How much? Give me that. Yeah. So, yeah. I'm sure Bill will want it, or, somebody will want that.
I'm surprised Poser Mark isn't already made a phone call to you by now, but...
he's just sensed
a disturbance in the hair metal force. But anyway, You know,
Yeah.
what can I say?
While you were laboriously representing the greatness of the Metal Roundtable at Gas Monkey, I said laboriously, kids.
You did say that.
That's your 25
Wait a
cent
minute,
word
I'm
for the day.
thumbing
You
through
look
my.
that up.
Thumbing through my-
It's no gesticulated.
Oh my gosh!
So
He's bringing out the big guns now.
hey, I
Hey,
stole
Mr.
that-
Thesaurus,
stole
you
that
can find
from
that
you.
at Half Price Books for $2.99.
No gesticulation. That was all you, buddy, a few episodes ago.
Oh, that's right, that was
yeah,
me.
Yeah.
And I did buy a Thesaurus at Half Price
Yes.
Books for $2.99. Oh
Thank you. So while you were, now I forgot my big word, laboriously toiling away representing the greatness of the Metal Roundtable at the Gas Monkey, I was over at Trees in Deep Ellum checking out the greatness of Death Angel and Ex Mortis.
Right on.
And I got to tell you, man, now I missed Hellfire because of the freaking parking situation down there.
It's brutal down there.
Oh, it was ridiculous. We parked over half mile away and hoofed it over to Trees, and we got there in plenty of time to see Ex Mortis. They were fantastic. I bought their new EP. I have not listened to it yet, but I did buy it, and mucho support to those dudes. They were good. And then Death Angel came out and just
Annihilated, I imagine.
dude, so professional, so good. They just slayed it, man. They were so good.
I remember when we saw them with was that Anthrax and
yeah, they had like a 20 or 25 minute set.
right.
I think it was that. Yeah, it was that Anthrax and
It was the
Testament
Gene. Yeah, it was the Gene
thing.
Hoglan thing.
yeah.
And man, I turned to you and I thought, oh my gosh, I didn't expect this because, you know, they've sort of been out
Go
of
see Death Angel.
yeah.
Freaking rule.
They've sort of been. I mean, I thought that they'd sort of been out of the loop, you know, the metal
Yeah.
loop after the first 3 albums, and then that
No, man, they
weird
have
thing. Yeah,
they've kept on doing it, and the new album is fantastic.
pretty solid.
So that was cool. It's gone. I don't know. I'm an old dude. I lost it. Oh yeah, pick out a good one. Oh man, you can't rim shot if there's not a joke.
That was a joke. The fact that you forgot.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, now that I've completely forgotten my point, let's get on to the topic of episode 37, which is going to be the greatness of
Deep Purple.
Yes, Deep Purple. So now we're a little bit off the metal page here, but these guys certainly deserve.
I was gonna say, you know, my parents when I was much younger thought that Deep Purple was heavy metal. And
Yeah.
of course, they thought Ted Nugent and Aerosmith were heavy metal too. But I was able to sort of bridge the gap with bands that had more, like Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Kansas, Boston to some extent. But yeah, Deep Purple was pretty heavy for the time. And of course, like Sabbath, they're blues based and very melodic. And of course,
Yes.
you know, the whole keyboard thing was a new introduction to rock and roll.
Yeah. Well, like a lot of these bands, my introduction to Deep Purple was radio, of course, and listen to Smoke on the Water, Hush, you know, stuff like that. And I didn't get heavy into them until I started record collecting. I knew a bunch of songs, and I'd even seen them in concert once with Scorpions, I think, on a double headlining thing.
But what was the lineup? Because as you know, they've had multiple lineups.
Yeah, no, it was the Steve Morse. It was more modern, but I think John Lord was still with them. This was several years ago.
Okay.
This was probably a decade ago.
All
But anyway,
right.
but it was the newer lineup. So going back through record collecting and getting their deep back catalog is what really got me going on them. And like a lot of these bands that I've quote discovered, Rush and Pink Floyd, I mean discovering their full catalog, it was through record collecting and moving backwards. So I ended up with Machine Head, and we need to back up though. I collected everything and the Book of Taliesin and Shades of Deep Purple, those are good. Those are great records, but it was a little psychedelic for me. But then the game-changing vocalist,
Right.
one of the greatest of all time, comes in on album 3, I think.
Yes. Well, and I was going to say, it's interesting you say that they had a little psychedelic edge to them, because I just finished watching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Quentin Tarantino has this knack for bringing out and reviving old music, and Kentucky Woman, which was on the second record and Book of the Talisman, and then Hush, of course, was on the Shades of Deep Purple, and so ironically, and I'm guessing that he put those two on because, well, A, it was a period piece, and B, those were very psychedelic, which the whole vibe of the movie is psychedelic. But to your point, and I have no idea why they got rid of Rod Evans or Nick Simper, but when they added, and that was Mark 1, that was the Mark 1 lineup, but when they became Mark 2, I was, like you, I was all in. In fact, the third album I ever bought with my own money when I was 13 or 14 years old was Deep Purple Machine Head.
What were the first two?
Black Sabbath, Paranoid, and Grand Funk Shining On.
Okay.
And I still have them. In fact,
let's see what you got. Carcass brought goodies, kids. Let's see what he's got in the box.
I did bring goodies, and like I said, Shades of Deep Purple got great songs on it. I mean, I don't know why, this set the stage for them. And then Book of the Taliesin, Talisman, whatever. This is the one with the Kentucky Woman on it, and it's got, once again, it does have a psychedelic vibe to it.
Right. Okay.
So this is probably where I know you probably think this is their greatest record or one of their greatest records. I have to tend to agree with you. This is the German pressing, by the way.
Right.
Yours probably looks like that.
It does.
But because I am a freak about certain bands and certain albums.
How many different covers of Scorpions' Lonesome Crow do you have?
18? They're all different pressings, though. So it's not like it's buying the same record over and over again.
Yes, it is.
Mark. Anyway, I guess we're just going to keep going. Who do we think great. We are?
Well,
now, this one was a huge commercial success, even though in reading some of the articles, this was a terrible album. Nobody liked it. The band didn't like it. And I'm like, My Woman from Tokyo, Smooth Dancer, Rat Bad Blue, Our Lady, these are all killer.
Well, what happened was, back to, this guy right here, is this is where they went and they bridged that gap from the psychedelic kind of 60s rock to some 70s hard rock. That's what this album represents.
Yes,
and that's why it's one of my favorite by them.
Well, and of course, it was tough to follow that up, but I love this record.
Oh, dude, Mary Long, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm telling you. And here's the other one that was a big disappointment, and I have no clue why, and that's Fireball.
I've always read that they hated the mix on that.
Yeah? Well, the remix with the bonus tracks is really killer. But once again, that's got all the songs are killer. I can put that on and not bump around to different songs or not play side B. I have to play the whole record. It's that good.
That's a good one.
And here's what we've been talking about. Machine Head. Third record I ever bought. This is actually the record that I bought at the Maxwell Air Force Base Commissary. I think it was $3.98. No tax, because we didn't tax the military guys.
Because you're an Air Force brat, right?
That I am.
Okay.
And thank goodness to anyone who serves the military. I don't care if you're cooking, playing trumpet, using a rifle, blowing up things with a tank. Thank you very much for your service.
Indeed.
But Deep Purple Machine Head this is a pivotal, seminal album in rock and roll. This put them on the map, and unfortunately, it took 20 years before I realized that they left off the greatest track. And because the record company said, we can't put a ballad on this thing. It's too heavy, too fast, too much whatever. And that's when A Blind Man Cries.
Ah, fantastic.
And since I have
Look at the track list.
I have multiple copies of everything. I have the box set, and it has that on there, and it has the full version of it. And it's just so heart-wrenching and fantastic.
Well, this probably. So, would you say that this is their greatest album? I mean, sales, songs.
Yes.
Is this it? Because
Yes.
this is their most influential album,
Right.
for sure.
Right.
And this Highway Star, great,
That's probably my favorite song.
dude. Pictures of Home.
Well, that's a good one too.
Oh my gosh, Pictures of Home is so great, and that was one of those happy, findings that I found when I went back and bought this record, and I'd seen it a million times. I go pick up the copy, I get it on the turntable, and that third song comes on, and
you're
he
done.
hits it with the keyboard and the guitar, and I'm just losing it. Yeah, it's fantastic. But the funny thing about this one is it contains the riff, the one that everybody goofs on and
Right.
makes fun of, the seminal rock and roll. Yeah.
Well, and the thing is too is normally with something that's so prevalent in everything, and you hear it so much, you would get sick of it.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like that stupid opening riff of Guns N' Roses' "Sweet
Oh.
Child of Mine." That makes me want to just absolutely lose my lunch. No offense to any Guns N' Roses fans, but when I hear that at a hockey game or at a football game or whatever, it grates on me like nails on a chalkboard.
I could shave a few minutes off the end of my life to never hear that again,
Right.
or Crazy Train for that matter.
Yeah, and much respect to those bands,
Yes.
but I could listen to that riff over and over again and never get tired of it, and I don't know why that is the case, but it is the case.
Yeah.
It's just the greatness of
It's the one everybody learns on guitar.
it's the greatness of Deep Purple. Now, this thing right here, we've had this discussion about great
Live album. Yep.
albums.
Mm-hmm.
This is top 5 for me, and it because it has some of these great songs, but even the drum solo, everything about this record is perfect. Now, I actually have a Japanese pressing of this that includes this is actually a culmination of 2 nights. Well, the Japanese pressing is 5 albums and has all 3 nights
Oh wow.
together. And if you get the Japanese box set reissue of this on CD, it's got everything, including rehearsal, sound check, and that thing is a mind blower. It is the perfect.
If you want a
live
rock
record.
and roll live album, here you go. It's gold for a reason.
It is
I
good
don't know
for a
if it
reason.
really is, but
And silly
Oh,
me,
dude.
I have a Mexican pressing, a German pressing, an English pressing, and I found a crazy Filipino pressing.
Space Truckin' is all of side 4. Do you need any more information?
No, you don't
on
need
that?
any more. That's a killer song.
Gosh, what a great.
And 1972. We're talking 1972 now. So there you have it.
I was 2. You were what, 25?
I was not quite 25.
Give me a rim shot on that.
Jeez.
Thank you.
That's what I'll give you on that. Now, here's where things started to get crazy. They had all these great albums, all this crazy success, and
And the greatest guitar player on the planet.
at the time, and he just couldn't.
I mean, Jimmy will have something to say about that, but for my money,
Look,
give me Richie Blackmore as the greatest guitar player of all time. All apologies to Hendrix, man. I love you.
oh, I thought you were talking about Jimmy Page.
No, sorry.
No, Hendrix. I don't know, dude. We'll have to battle that one out in the parking lot when I get down to my fighting weight.
If you can catch me, maybe.
If I can catch you, all the more reason to get down to my fighting weight. Blackmore was, I think he was a virtuoso. He was Yngwie before Yngwie was Yngwie,
Right.
and he certainly was an icon.
Right.
But he couldn't hold his ego in check long enough
I agree.
to stay in the band.
Yes.
And so when they wanted to venture off in this more commercial rock type scenario, he said, "I'm out of here." And I know that he and just by hearing the interviews, etc., he and John Lord used to battle it out on a daily basis, whether they were in the studio or they were on stage. And John Lord said it with his little wink, wink, nudge, nudge. He said, he used to push Richie because he would mock his riffs and play with him on the keyboards riff for riff.
Right.
And he used to drive Blackmore crazy. So,
and if you want to see something outstanding, we're not quite to that area yet. Go ahead.
okay. Well, I was going to jump to the Mark III
We're gonna
lineup.
When we get here, I'll talk about it.
And that's when this came out. Now they had some young buck named David Coverdale because Ian Gillan left, Blackmore left, and I thought, well, there goes the band, and well, lo and behold,
Blackmore's on that one.
he is on this one. I'm
yeah.
sorry, Ian Gillan left.
Yeah.
Because
Blackmore stayed for a while.
yeah, Blackmore couldn't get along with anybody, but Gillan said, I've had enough, and he went solo.
Right.
So here's where we start to see somewhat of a change. We've got David Coverdale on vocals. We've got, and I think that, oh gosh, his name escapes me. The bass player for this lineup. Oh gosh, I'm feeling bad because I'm a Deep Purple freak, but
I'm gonna just let you twist.
But
Roger Glover.
Roger Glover left with Ian Gillan to do their thing.
Oh, that's
separately.
right. Because
So Glenn Hughes, a
Yes.
young Glenn Hughes, and David Coverdale came in to save the day. And honestly, they did.
they did.
And I hated this record when it came out because
Let me see the songs.
it wasn't my idea of the original lineup. It wasn't the Mark II.
Are you kidding me?
I know. And then,
Burn might just take your life.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Mistreated. Oh, dude.
You know what? I regret not giving this the homage that it deserved because
And this is, what year was this? 73,
4, 6.
74, somewhere. Anyway, if you want to see something spectacular and you want to see the fire and the passion and the madness of Richie Blackmore, go out to YouTube and find Deep Purple California Jam.
Oh gosh,
Dude.
you know,
I don't even want to give any spoilers if you haven't seen it, because the end of that show, because he's pissed because he didn't want cameras anywhere near him
right?
when they were filming this thing. Well, they didn't listen,
And they got a camera way too close.
and they got too close, and all hell broke loose. But it is brilliant, brilliant to watch.
and you can say what you want about being old, but we watched that on TV, on ABC, in concert Friday night.
Yeah.
And we used to have Don Kirshner's
Oh yeah,
and listen to the King Biscuit Flower Hour on the radio. I mean, we had back in the day. Say what
Yeah.
you want about Netflix and Sirius radio. I thought we had it going on back then. Okay, so after I recover from the fact that Burn comes out and some of my favorite players in Deep Purple are gone, here comes this Stormbringer. This was a little bit of an afterthought, and the two new guys were really starting to push their way into the band.
right.
And Glenn Hughes does a lot of vocals, and he wrote a lot of the songs. And of course, guess who probably didn't like that? And I think this spelled the demise of Blackmore.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, that's a
But once again, great songs.
well, and Glenn Hughes.
Guy can sing. Guys
What
got,
a great set of pipes on that dude, man.
And-
He's amazing.
and David Coverdale. He used to. I mean,
On fire.
he was on fire back then. And
On fire.
and maybe at nearly age 70, he's not so much anymore. But he still has something.
Yeah.
But
I prefer Burn to this,
I do too.
but there's still some great stuff on here.
Yeah. Now it really gets freaky.
It really does change a lot now.
Okay. And once again, I did the same thing. I just was getting used to this, and then this
Yep.
thing comes out.
Yep. That's one of the ones I brought
And
too.
so now there's only two original members, John Lord and Ian Pace,
yeah.
because
Yeah.
Glenn Hughes, David Coverdale, and now some young buck named Tommy Bolin.
Yes.
And I actually saw this tour,
Really?
and I saw him do very strange things with bananas on stage. And I'm not gonna I'm gonna try and keep this PG-13 the best we can. But anyway, this has some fantastic songs, and Tommy Bolin is a player, man.
Dude.
You know, he put out a bunch of solo stuff that's just okay, but with Deep Purple, he is unbelievable.
Yeah, my buddy Chris, I don't know if you're watching or not, but Chris has taught me a lot about Tommy Bolin and his influence on guitar playing and his music and stuff like that. And Tommy Bolin is a monster, was a monster guitar player. Of course, you know, died too early, substances. I mean, it's so sad. You wonder what these guys could have been. But this is a great album, and all these changes are going to bring me to a point later on.
Well, and fortunately for them, this brought them back kind of into the forefront again, because people were wondering, you know, what the heck's going on with the band.
Well, and what's the next thing you?
Well, the next thing I brought, of course,
what year is that?
90.
Okay.
Or 86.
Okay, I've got. Wait, let's do. Here we go.
Go ahead.
Okay. This is a fantastic album.
Perfect Strangers.
Perfect Strangers. They're
The original,
kind of getting it back together.
the original Mark II lineup.
Right. Yeah. A comeback. 2 songs that I have to hear in concert, and you're lucky if they play them both. But if you can get one of the 2, great. And these are in the top 3 Deep Purple songs. Both of these are in my top 5. Knocking at Your Back Door,
Okay.
No Brainer, and Perfect Strangers.
Yeah.
I'm done. If
Well-
they came out and played a 48-minute version of Perfect Strangers and said, see ya, I'd be like, cool.
Well,
All
in
right.
Gillan's range, he proved that he still had it, and he's all over the map on that song. Especially, it shows the whole band has
Yeah.
not lost a step.
Wasted Sunsets. If you've missed Perfect Strangers, go get this album. This album rules. 84. So good.
And I see it in the cutout bins all the
Yeah,
time. So
yeah.
grab it. It's no excuse about money,
Man.
because that thing is just awesome.
I know what you're about to do here.
Well, all I could find was the Russian version. Thank you, Sergey.
All I could find. Sorry.
But you know
Not my
what?
Russian version that nobody has but me.
But once again, this is sort of like I won't say it's a letdown, because I will go to my grave, which is closer than some because I'm 60, but I will go to my grave saying that Deep Purple has never put out a just total stinker record.
Absolutely correct.
Every record is a good quality record.
Yep.
Some are better, way better than others. And this is one of those records that's a good record.
Right.
It's not great. It's not one I reach for, because on the comeback trail, I'm reaching for Perfect
Yes.
Strangers.
Yes.
But this, I tell you what, you go back, you listen to it, you're gonna find some real gems on there.
Yep. You're absolutely right. So,
Oh, here we really go,
yeah.
because I'm about to say something so blasphemous that you're not gonna probably forgive me. But
Okay. So Blackmore's on this one. I'm getting my. They've had so many lineup changes and so many different eras that I kind of get lost in the. When did this thing come out?
92,
93.
93.
Okay. My buddy Chris, thank you again, turned me on to this thing. The Battle Rages On. Amazing. Lick It Up, not the Kiss song. Fantastic. Time to Kill. This is another one to me that flew under the radar, but shouldn't have. This is a great Deep Purple album. So
Yeah.
let's hear your blasphemy.
No, not on this record.
Oh, okay.
On the where our friend Steve Morse joined the band.
Oh, okay. Which was on.
Perpendicular.
Okay.
And
I didn't bring that one.
Yeah, I didn't either.
There's some good stuff on there.
There's some really good stuff on there, and I saw him with Steve Morse, and I gotta say, I think he's better than Richie Blackmore. I think technically
hang on.
speaking as a
Is there
player,
a fart noise over there? Are you hearing what he's saying? How did you even let him in here? Yeah.
Well, you know, if you want to write in the comments or get online and say whatever, go right ahead. You can say what you want.
Okay, Chris, if you're watching this, I need your help. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not kidding.
Okay.
I'm not kidding. I think Morse.
Go ahead. Now defend yourself.
I think he holds his own against Richie Blackmore. In fact, I think he's better.
Okay.
Technically, I think he's better.
Now, let's qualify this. Steve Morse is amazing. An amazing guitar player. And this is going to take me to my point here in a minute. At the end, when I tie this up, we'll come back to this.
Okay.
I can't argue against what you're saying. I can't. But it's the same as me saying that Richie Blackmore, in my opinion, is better than Hendrix. Now, there's probably people down here trying to buzz in to the lobby to come up here and beat me down for saying that. And my buddy Chris is probably saying the same thing. But in my opinion, you know, so I can't argue against what you're saying.
And I know how this is feeling to you, because I had somebody today, one of my vendors, ask me about the whole did I see the Slayer thing, and we started having this discussion about Paul Bostoff versus Dave Lombardo.
Right.
I prefer Dave Lombardo.
Yes.
Well, I think technically Paul Bostoff is technically a better drummer. However, as it fits the music, Dave Lombardo is perfect for Slayer.
And there you made my point better than I could. I couldn't come up with it. It's different things. Richie Blackmore and Steve Moore, it's different things. Right. It's different things. So I'm okay. I can get on board. I don't agree with your point, but I can get on board with what you're saying.
Right. So that's and you know, we can agree to disagree and move on.
Okay.
Because there's so much great music and there's so many great guitarists.
Oh yeah. No, and hey, if I can see Steve Morse play another half dozen times before they hang it up, I'm there. I love it. Yep. Fantastic player. Now, I have a funny story.
Speaking of bananas,
have a funny story about this album. Okay. So several years ago, I had a chance to interview Ian Pace. I don't think you know this.
No.
So I had a buddy that had a connection with Deep Purple's management, and we were fully credentialed and ticketed to see Deep Purple on this tour in Oklahoma City. There was no Dallas date. So I was already prepared to talk, and the one question that I still want to ask is part of my point that I promise I'll get to. My buddy, another buddy, mutual friend of mine, and the guy that got us hooked up with the credentials, is getting married that night. So guess what we did? What do you think we did, Monkey Butt? You think we went to the show, or you think we went to the wedding? We went to the freaking wedding.
Instead of sitting down with Ian Pace, a legendary drummer.
Yeah, I was going to say.
From Deep Purple.
Right, I was going to say.
I can see you're getting choked up.
You have one chance
with
to interview Deep Purple, and you also have one chance to go to this dude's wedding. Well, fortunately for him, it was one chance to go to his wedding. They're still married. Yippee.
Okay, I can sort of see
He's
your
a great
point.
dude. Great lady, but dude, I missed that opportunity.
I think I would have liked.
I love you, bro. If you know who you are, I don't even know if he knows that we did that and went to his wedding instead. But I've kicked myself. So here's the question that I was going to ask.
Okay, ask away.
So you've got all those lines. What have they been up to, Mark?
5,
6, something. Who
yeah,
knows?
maybe.
How in the world the only original member of Deep Purple is Ian Pace?
Correct.
The drummer.
He's the only one left.
But every one of these, I don't care which one, outside, the thing that you can set aside is the psychedelic first 2 or 3.
Sure.
And the one with the Royal London Philharmonic. You kind of set those aside as something a little bit different. But you fan these bad boys out. These are all unmistakably Deep Purple records. How do you do that? How do you do that?
Well,
how do you say
it starts with a foundation of a solid drummer.
The consistency is mind-blowing because you move to Now What that came out in 2013. Some of my very favorite Deep Purple songs.
Freaking awesome. It's a great record.
Saw them on this tour. They killed it. Steve Morse was on fire.
And you've got the one with the second CD that's got all the outtakes and live stuff. And
DVD. Yeah. And here's the other thing. And John Lord passes. Well, who are you going to get? Oh, well, we'll just plug in Don Airey.
Yeah, how about him? He's sort of okay.
He's okay.
His resume's pretty stacked.
Let's get that guy.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. So I am blown away, and that's what I would want to ask if I could meet any of those dudes. Oh, is how do you maintain... But I guess, AC/DC did the same thing. Motorhead did the same thing. They're all AC/DC records. They're all Motorhead records. But this, they're not using the same formula, though. AC/DC albums are AC/DC albums are AC/DC albums. Motorhead are Motorhead albums. It's stamp it, stamp it, stamp it. This still weaves. They keep it between the ditches. It weaves over here, it weaves a little over here, but it's still a great Deep Purple record.
For the same reason that Slayer is still Slayer, even with Paul Bostoff, or with Gary Holt, or with Phil Demmel, or with Lee Altus, or whoever fills in for whomever.
Right.
They're still Slayer. There's just a little bit of sugar and spice that tastes a little different because they're different players. And we've talked about feel and how things look or sound. They're playing the notes, but why does it sound different? Well, it's because of the player, and they have just a way of squeezing out an emotion rather than just notes. And everyone's they're still playing Deep Purple songs,
right? But
it's Don Airey, and it's Steve Morse, and it's a little different. It's not.
And it's greatness.
And but that's how they keep their consistency, because they're going to keep that same 5-piece equation together, and they're going to drop in different numbers, and they're going to set them to the same power, and at the end, you're going to know it's a Deep Purple record.
Yeah, well, this Now What album that came out a few years ago, this absolutely solidified everything else they do. I don't know if they've got another album, 2 more albums, 10 more albums. I will be there for every one. I'm going to see the next tour because this was amazing. The tour was fantastic.
And just know that they've done it not for 5 years or 10 years, but for 50 years.
Right.
They've been a band.
And then you get to this thing, 2017, Infinite. And they put an emphasis on the finite part of it.
Right.
So the speculation was...
But the infinite symbol also forms DP for Deep Purple.
Right. So they... the rumor was kind of going around, oh, that's their last album. This is their last tour. Who knows? Well, there's a new Deep Purple album coming out in early 2020, and I am there, but let me not skip ahead. This Infinite album is in my top 3 Deep Purple albums. Period.
Okay, so my take about Steve Morse is not as shocking as that?
No. I love this thing, and they even end up with a Doors cover of Roadhouse Blues, and it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. This thing, Time for Bedlam, outstanding, Hip Boots, All I Got Is You, One Night in Vegas. This was my lawn mowing album for months, and it's just from stem to stern, this is one of my top 3. Okay, maybe I'm stretching. Definitely top 4 or 5 Deep Purple albums. I will stand by it unless the next one is better.
Okay. Well, I can't disagree with you.
Have you heard this?
Yes, I have it.
Okay, perfect.
And I love it. And I bought it when it first came out because I'm a Deep Purple fan. And as I mentioned, they have not put out a stinker.
No.
There is no load and reload in any of this catalog.
Right.
There is no whatever.
Are you saying those were bad? Are you saying that they were? Are you saying you could have boiled them down to one album and had something good?
I'm not in it.
Chinese Democracy,
and they're definitely not.
Use Your Illusion 1 and 2.
They're definitely not Lulu. There's no Lulus in this. in this. And all I'm saying about those two.
I think you're offending Monkey Butt. He's a big Lulu fan.
Well, yeah, he is a bit, between Kirk Hammett's ranting about, or Lars Ulrich why don't you buy our record? Well, it's Lulu for crying out loud, and they can't give them away at the half-price books. But anyway, the reason I say load and reload is because those aren't good Metallica records.
Right.
They're decent rock records, but they're not Metallica records.
Yeah.
Everything we've talked about, you can tell even Bananas, which has a dumb name and a weird cover, and it's hard to find. It's still a great
record, and there's probably a story. I'd love to know the story behind.
Well,
there's got to be a story.
If Tommy Bolin were still around, you could ask him because, like I said, I saw some things as a young man with Bananas on stage at a Deep Purple show that should not be part of anybody's mind.
All right.
Whatever.
Yeah. Well, I'm not trying to bring this thing to a screeching halt at all. Not at all. But I want to say, while he's sitting right there,
yes,
thanks again to the great Monkey Butt for having us in.
Yep.
This is our second time in the studio. We appreciate it very much. He's gonna. Oh, wait. He's getting on mic.
I am getting on mic.
Stand at attention, Carcass.
Oh.
Stand at attention, folks. Monkey Butt is in the room.
Monkey Butt is in the house.
That's right. So what we want you to do, we want you to go to the KVGI radio page on Facebook. Yeah, I'm talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
And we want you to like it. We want you to share it. We want you to check out the other programs that they've got. They've got an MMA program on here. They've got a job finding program where people come in
and actually find a job because they interview with real people.
Yeah, check this out. The interviewers are here, and the guys over here interviewing for jobs are over here, and they're sitting in the room live, and they're interviewing, and they're teaching you those skills and showing you the process. And they've actually hired people on the air, haven't they?
Yeah, and in fact, there's a whole program on that show that goes around the round table. And they kind of pay it back because there are some that what they tell them is that, listen, when you get a job, come back and share your story.
Right.
Come back and tell us how you got it. So they get it from both sides. And it's amazing because in a time where we are so highly volatile in social media and in socialism in general, that you got two parties having a conversation.
Right.
Instead of a piece of paper and a resume saying, hey, I hope you look at me.
Right. Well, but they're doing some cool stuff here with the different live radio shows. I completely misunderstood when we first spoke. I thought we were going to come in and record and upload it, and he had some call letters, and I didn't realize we were going to do live video radio.
And here we are.
And here we are.
And I feel pretty fortunate that we've evolved this thing into something even bigger, and who knows what happens.
All because I was selling some DVDs.
Yeah, that's how I found it. That's about a collection from him.
Well, actually, our friend, he's the one that referred me to you. I can't think of what his name is.
Oh, Phil. At ZT Records.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
there you go.
Phil referred me to him, and I was like, okay, I'll contact this guy. And then I didn't know if he was going to contact me back. But then all of a sudden, he asked me a few things on what I've got, and he's like, oh, no, I'm in. I want to come over. But it was the, not that he gives off a good impression, by the way, but he did get off a good impression. It could have been his wife. It could have been him. Right. I'm not sure which one.
She's way cuter than me. It's not even dude.
But I'm intrigued to help people in a general sense, right? And so in the little innuendo, the 2-second rule, walks away from me and mentions that he'd like to get into radio and he does a podcast or something like that, right?
Right.
And my wife looked at me, my eyebrows went up the air, and I turned around and goes, so I own this company.
And here we are.
And here you are.
That sounds like a familiar story because I walked into a record store and asked the owner, hey, I'm looking for a cassette. Mine's in the shop. And this voice from beyond says, you need a cassette? I have a cassette deck. And the rest is history because here he is.
37 episodes later.
Yeah, he provided a cassette deck, and here we go.
There you go. So you're welcome. I'm glad you guys are here. But, number one, I'd say two things. Number one, 60, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 60.
I'm 53, and I thought I was the oldest one in the room. You look 45.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The Carcass is...
I won lunch from one of my guys yesterday.
Timeless.
No wonder he's called Carcass. He's old.
Yeah, I am. But I won lunch from I won lunch yesterday. I won lunch yesterday because my one of my guys said I was 42.
Yeah. And so
anyway.
the next thing I was going to say is, holy smoke. You told me this was last week was 38. I made this 39. You've been telling everybody this whole show is 37.
It is.
What the hell?
We
Is
did
it?
36 last week and 37
No, there was
this
38
week.
last week because that's what I put last week.
Well, just because you put it, that doesn't make it right.
That's what you told me.
Monkey butt. Well,
Come on, man.
monkey butt. We're gonna have to get a monkey butt calculator.
I'm gonna be bringing you a banana.
Oh no! Oh no! Tommy Bolin.
But we want you to like the pages. We want you to share the pages. If
Sure.
you like what we're doing, we really want you to share the video. We want you to turn your metalhead and hard rock friends on to what we're doing, because just like everybody else, we're trying to make it. We're trying to, make a name for ourselves and help, they're helping us. And so we would love it if you would comment, post, anything, share us, like us, love us.
And if you're in a band, maybe we do an interview. Maybe we do something like that. I mean, we're always interested in national touring acts, people that are in the business. I mean, we don't profess to trust us. We don't profess to know everything about everything.
Gene Hoglan has been on our show.
Gene Hoglan's been on our show. Guys from Hellstar have been on our show.
Yeah.
We've had some
Yeah.
heavy hitters. The guys from Unearth, that was a great
Yeah, that was
interview.
a killer day. That was
And
fun.
in fact, I talked to Chris today. He just got off a run that they did and very successful. And we were going to talk about Deep Purple. I asked him. I said, "Hey, mate, you're from England. You want to?" He says, "I smoke on the water. That's all I know." So, shout out to Chris O'Toole for knowing at least Smoke on the Water. Great guy, and got us on the bus with Unearth.
Yeah. Well, hey, without you, there is no us. We appreciate your support over the years. I will edit these up and put them on YouTube later on, but support the KVGI page first and foremost. And, yeah, until next time, man.
Metal will prevail.
Do you want to play something stupid before we go?
No, because that's,
What is boing?
Boing?
Okay.
No, metal will prevail, and so will a new Deep Purple record, because it's going to sound just like Deep Purple.
That's right. Until next time, kids, metal will prevail.